Greetings from Bogota, Colombia. I'm in Colombia. Why else? To meet with developers and find some of my next coding rock stars. So if you're looking to staff out of Latin America, Colombia should definitely be near the top of your list. The city of Bogota is the fourth largest in Latin America in terms of economy. It has a workforce of over 4 million, and its college system produces more than 94,000 graduates a year. Things are changing constantly, but currently Colombia is one of the, if possibly even the highest value country to staff out of right now. And the reason for that is that the development community has really come into its own. You have highly trained, highly experienced developers in Bogota and throughout Colombia, but the country hasn't quite been discovered yet by the big companies. So Google and Microsoft and Amazon have not opened their remote development centers here like they have already in Costa Rica and Mexico and the other major countries. And that's an opportunity for folks who want to come in and recruit developers because prices have not been driven up by those big companies yet. That's not to say that the Colombian developers are cheap, but on the value scale, in terms of what you get, you're going to do a little bit better in Colombia than some other places on average right now. Of course, there are exceptions all over the place. One thing I have noticed with Colombian developers is that on average, and there are certainly many exceptions, the English is a little weaker, and I think that's partially due to what I just spoke about, which is that there are fewer US companies doing business here, and so the English experience just tends to be a little bit less. Most developers in Bogota right now are working for other Latin American companies who use Spanish predominantly. And so you will probably have to spend a solid 3 months really gelling the communication. Now, they do all speak English. It's just a matter of how fluent they are. And again, there are certainly exceptions. I've spoken with Colombians whose English is absolutely fluent, sounds like they speak English as a first language. So, but just on average, I've found that the English here is not quite as strong as it is in, say, Mexico. Now, one concern you might have is that Colombia does have a little bit of a reputation for crime in the United States, and I can tell you that that's pretty much an outdated point of view. That's all been cleaned up in recent years, and law and order has really been restored to the country. Now, having said that, there are certainly pockets of Bogota and throughout the country that are, somewhat unsafe, and so you just need to do your research and be careful where you stay when you visit. Your developers, if they're successful and established, will already have moved to and be working from the regions of the country that are stable in terms of infrastructure, law and order, electricity, internet, things like that. So you really don't need to worry about it from that standpoint. But yes, of course, if you're visiting, as is the case with any Latin American country, and if we're honest, many US cities, you need to be a little careful about which neighborhoods you go into and pay attention to who you book transit with and things like that. But if you use some common sense, you'll be fine. Or do it my favorite way, which is travel with one of your developers. Colombians in particular, although it's true of all Latin Americans, are incredibly proud of their country and super excited to show it off. And if you come down to visit your developer, they will be more than happy, I'm sure, to drive you around, show you the sights, help you experience the local cuisine, the local culture, the architecture. It's a real treat for both of you. Right now, it's the early morning in Bogota. As you can see, it's rather overcast. Bogota is known for having 4 seasons in a day, and I've seen pouring rain, and it's a bit chilly right now, and I'm sure later in the day it'll be quite warm. And of course, we're coming into summer because it's South America and summer starts in December. Traveling to Bogota is easy. There are direct flights from New York and other US cities, or you can transfer in places like Costa Rica, and it's really quite easy to get here. The airport is large and modern and easy to navigate. When I came in last night, I had no difficulty getting through customs or anything like that, and it is visa-free to US citizens. And so should you decide to make a hire in Bogota, or if you'd like to come down and interview developers, it's really quite easy. So please consider Bogota when looking to recruit in Latin America.